resolute, determined, terse, short, abrupt, fawn, to brown nose, jeer, taunt, query, a question, ghastly, awful, resignation, acceptance, dominion, authority, erudite, scholarly, comparing fractions. Example 2/3 and 5/8 2x8 equals 16 5x3 equals 15 16 is greater than 15, so 2/3 is greater than 5/8. Circumference C equals 2x pi xr. Area A equals pi times r to the 2. Healthy diet requires protein, carbohydrates, fat, minerals, vitamins, and fiber. Proteins: growth and repair meat, fish, egg, and cheese, peas, beans, nuts, and some grains. Carbohydrates: starches and sugars, energy for body's metabolism. Starches: bread, cereal, rice, potatoes, and pasta. Sugars: fruits, cane sugar, beets, and processed foods. Fats: provide energy for body's metabolism too. 3 types of fats: saturated, monounsaturated, polyunsaturated. Saturated fats: bad cholesterol meats, shellfish, eggs, milk. Monounsaturated: decreased levels of bad cholesterol, olives, olive oil, grapeseed oil, almonds, cashews, Brazil nuts, avocados. Polyunsaturated: decreased levels of bad cholesterol, corn oil, flaxseed oil, pumpkin seed oil, safflower oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil. Minerals: small quantities iron, zinc, calcium, magnesium, sodium chloride. Vitamins: physiological processes, bone hardness, healthy gums. Deficiency diseases: lacking certain minerals. Fiber: provides bulk, helps large intestine carry waste matter. Sources of fiber: leafy greens, carrots, turnips, peas, beans, potatoes, fruit, cereal, and whole grain. Water: essential for survival, lose approximately 4 pints a day. Skeleton and muscles: hold body together and helps with movement. Arthropods: exoskeletons, insects, spiders, crustaceans. Exoskeletons: external skeletons. Vertebrate: endoskeleton, man and some animals. Endoskeletons: internal skeletons. Bone: primary support, protect vital organs, produce blood cells, store minerals. Cartilage: more flexible than bones and of all bones, joints in nose and ears. Tendons: attaches muscles to the skeleton, fibrous cords made of connective tissue. Ligaments: connecting bones to bones. Respiration: the process by which blood cells absorb oxygen and eliminate carbon dioxide and water vapor. Fibrous cords made of connective tissue. Respiratory system: air enters through the nose, passes through the nasal cavity, through pharynx, epiglottis, trachea, left and right bronchi, lungs, bronchioles, then alveolus. https://quizlet.com/16qdvgvlr11bdto7qmpng. Nasal cavity. Filters, moistens and warms air. Pharynx. Filter and aids in protection against infection. Epiglottis. Closes when swallowing to prevent food from going down. Trachea. Cleanses air. Left and right bronchi. Tubes that lead to the lungs. Bronchioles. Subdivision of bronchi. Alveolus. Small sac at the ends of each bronchioles. Oxygen from air enters bloodstream through capillaries. Diaphragm. System of muscles that allow the lungs to expand and contract, drawing air in and out. Circulatory system. Transport nutrients throughout the body to get rid of wastes. Main organ in the circulatory system. Heart. Heart. 4-chamber pump with 2 collecting chambers and 2 pumping chambers. Atria. Collecting chambers in the heart. Ventricles. Pumping chambers in the hair. Right atrium. Receives deoxygenated blood from the vena cava and passes it to the right ventricle. Vena cava. 2 largest veins in the body. Right ventricle. Pumps the blood through the lungs through the pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery. Gets blood from the right ventricle and pumps it through the lungs. Pulmonary vein. From the lungs, oxygenated blood go through the pulmonary vein. Left atrium. From the pulmonary veins to the left atrium. Left ventricle. Goes from the left atrium to left ventricle, pump through aorta. Aorta. Pump through aorta to arteries. Arteries. Takes blood to the rest of the body. Valves. Essential to pumping of the heart. What happens when blood is pumped out of the ventricles? Valves are closed to prevent blood from flowing backwards into the heart after the contraction of the ventricle is complete. Arterioles. Branches of the arteries supply blood to the tissues via capillaries, thick walls, high blood pressure with oxygenated blood. What is the only artery to not contain oxygenated blood? Pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood into the lungs. Veins. Carry blood back to the heart from the capillaries, thin-walled, low-pressure, many valves. Veins or arteries, pulse oxygenated, high-pressure, thin-walled. AAV. What is the only vein to contain oxygenated blood? Pulmonary vein carries freshly oxygenated blood from lungs to heart. Capillaries. Thin-walled vessels, very small, permit exchange of materials between body cells. Blood consists of cells suspended in plasma. Plasma. Liquid component of blood. 3 types of cells in blood. Red blood cells, white blood cells in platelets. Red blood cells. Oxygen-carrying cells. White blood cells. Fight infection by destroying foreign organisms. Platelets. Cell fragments that allow blood to clot. Where are blood cells created? Bone marrow. Where is bone marrow located? Center of the bones. Types of blood. A, AB, B, O. Universal donor. O. Universal receiver. AB. Digestive system. Breaks down foods into materials the body can use, essentially long running tube beginning at mouth and ending at the butt. Digestive process. Mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, kidney, bladder, rectum, anus, urethra. Salivary amylase. In saliva helps break down starch. Esophagus. Push from down to stomach. Stomach. Mixed with gastric acids and pepsin and break down protein. Small intestines. Most of digestion happens here. 23-ish feet long food is broken down by enzymes produced in pancreas, small intestines, and liver. Pancreas. Lipase, pancreatic amylase, trypsin. Lipase. Changes fatty glycerol and fatty acids. Pancreas amylase. Breaks down complex carbohydrates into simple sugars. Trypsin. Converts polypeptides into aminosides. Liver. Bile. Bile. Aids in physical digestion of emulsified fat. What is not absorbed by the small intestines? Fatty acid and glycerol. How are things absorbed in the small intestines? Through capillaries that carry blood into the liver and then throughout the rest of the body. Large intestines. Water and minerals remaining in the waste matter are absorbed into the body. Kidney. Filters chemical waste from the blood. Urine. Waste filtered out from the blood through the kidney makes chemical waste. Ureters. Transports urine from the kidney to the bladder. Bladder. Liquid waste is stored. Rectum. Solid waste is stored. Where is solid waste released? Anus. Where is liquid waste released? Urethra. Nervous system. Brain, spinal cord, and networks of billions of nerve cells controls functions of the body and receives stimuli from environment. Central nervous system. Contains neurons in brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system. Contains all neurons found throughout the body besides the brain and spinal cord. Main components of the central nervous system. Cerebrum, cerebellum, medulla, and spinal cord. Components of peripheral nervous system. Somatic and autonomic. Cerebrum. Major part of the brain center of intelligence, hearing, seeing, and thinking. Cerebellum. Cluster of nerve tissue that forms basis for brain concern with muscular coordination and coordination of impulses sent from the cerebrum. Medulla. Brainstem connection between brain and spinal cord controls involuntary actions such as breathing, swallowing, and beating of the heart. Spinal cord. Major connecting center between brain and the network of nerves. Control center for many simple reflexes, carries impulses between organs and brain. Somatic nervous system. Control voluntary actions. Autonomic nervous system. Regulates involuntary activity in the heart, stomach, and intestines. Reproductive system. Male and female reproduction. Where is sperm produced? Testes. Ovulation. Every 28 days ovum released from ovary and travel through the fallopian tube into the uterus. Ovum. Egg. Oviduct. Fallopian tube. Endometrial lining. Prepares for implantation. Zygote. Fertilized egg develops into fetus. Prolactin. Hormone secreted by the pituitary activates the production of milk. Genetics. Study of heredity. Heredity. Process by which characteristics are passed from parents to offspring. When did the basic law of genetics become understood? Late 18th century. Who first discovered genetics? Gregor Mendel. Sexual reproduction. Individual hereditary traits separate in reproductive cells so that there are half as many chromosomes as normal cells. Gametes. Reproductive cells. Chromosomes. Large strings of hereditary units. Haploid. Gametes are haploids because they have half as many chromosomes. Traits can be dominant or recessive. How many unpaired chromosomes does an ovum and sperm contain? 23 each, which combine to form a zygote which contains 46 chromosomes. Meiosis. Process by which gametes are created. Sexual reproduction through meiosis and fertilization results in variation in offspring. Gene. Unit of inheritance. Alleles. Hereditary factors in a gene. How many alleles are in a gene? 2 that may or may not be alike. Homozygous. The 2 alleles in a gene are alike. Heterozygous. The 2 alleles in a gene are not alike. Genotype. Genetic makeup. Phenotype. How the genes express themselves. How is the sex determined? Females 20, males XY. Classification. All living things fall into a classification. Broadest classification. Kingdom. Narrowest classification. Species. Kingdoms. Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae, animalia. Monera. Bacteria, cyanobacteria, and primitive pathogens. Most primitive kingdom prokaryotic life. Protista. Simple eukaryotes, protozoa, unicellular, multicellular, ancestors to plants, animals, and fungi. Live with flagella, so use photosynthesis. Fungi. Mushrooms, bread molds, and yeasts move photosynthesis to composers, breaking down and feeding on dead protoplasm. Plantae. Can photosynthesize producers, vascular systems, gymnosperms, and angiosperms. Animalia. Produce energy by consuming other organisms, considers vertebrates or invertebrates. Prokaryotic. No distinct nuclei. Eukaryotic. Distinct nuclei. Levels of classification. King, Phyllis, class, ordered, family, genus, special. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. Ecology. Study of the relationships between organisms and their surroundings. Ecology classifications. Biosphere, biome, ecosystem, community, population. Biosphere. Zone of Earth where life naturally occurs. Biome. Major life zone of interrelated species bound together by solar climate, vegetation, and animal life. Ecosystem. Communities of animals, plants, and other organisms as well as non-living things. Community. Ecological connected species in an area. Population. Group of organisms of the same species living in same region. What is the difference between a biome and ecosystem? Biomes merely share similar characteristics. Ecosystems contiguous and contain organisms that interact. Population classification. Producers, decomposers, scavengers, consumers. Autotrophs. Make their own foods through photosynthesis. Producers. Saprotrophs. Break down organic material and release materials back into the soil. Carrion. Decaying flesh. Detritivores. Eat the small decaying matter that are too small for scavengers to want. Detritus. Decaying material too small for scavengers. Heterotrophs. Consume other organisms in order to survive. Primary consumers. Herbivores. Secondary consumers. Carnivores or omnivores. Tertiary consumers. Mostly omnivores. Top carnivores eat other secondary consumers. Earth science. Study of the Earth and the universe around it. Geology. Science that deals with the history and composition of the Earth and its life, especially when dealing with rocks. Layers of the Earth. Crust, mantle, core. Crust. Outermost layer of the Earth 10 to 80 kilometers. Mantle. 75% of the Earth's volume, 3,500 kilometers thick. Iron, magnesium, calcium, hotter and denser than Earth's surface. Inner core. 1,200 kilometers radius solid. Outer core. 2,300 kilometers liquid. Approximately how many plates? 30. Plates. Move very slowly. Fault lines. Places where plates slide relative to each other. Richter scale. Measures intensity of earthquakes. Categories of rocks. Igneous, sedimentary, metamorphic. Igneous. Formed when hardening of molten rock, granite, pumice, basalt, obsidian. Sedimentary. Formed by the gradual depositing of small bits of rock, clay, and other materials, over time hardened together. Fossils, shale, sandstone, gypsum, dolomite, coal. Metamorphic. Existing rock's material is altered through temperature, pressure, or chemical processes. Marble, slate, gneiss, quartzite. How old is the Earth? How do we know? 4.6 billion years old. Fossils and sedimentary rocks. Precambrian Eon. Period before fossil records began. When did life first begin? 3.5 billion years ago. Meteorology. Study of weather and the atmosphere. Layers of the atmosphere. Troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere. Troposphere. Lowest level of the atmosphere. Weather takes place 6 to 17 kilometers thick, 79% nitrogen, 21% oxygen. Stratosphere. Above troposphere, ozone layer absorbs ultraviolet rays minus 60 degrees Celsius. Mesosphere. 50 to 80 kilometers. Most meteorites burn up here above stratosphere minus 90 degrees Celsius. Thermosphere. 2000 degrees Celsius. How do fronts come about? Differences in air pressure cause wind and movement of air masses. Warm front. Precipitation. Stationary front. Warm and cold front battle it out. Cloudy wet weather for a week or more. Types of clouds. Stratus, cumulus and cirrus. Stratus. Low-hanging, broad, flat clouds, also fog. Cumulus. Puffy with flat bottoms and round tops. Cirrus. Thin wispy, higher atmosphere. Sun. G2V or yellow dwarf star 99.9% of mass in solar system 1.4 m diameter. Planets. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Terrestrial planets. Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars similar in composition, only Earth and Mars have moons. Earth is the largest. Outer planets. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune all have rings. Meteorites, meteors, meteorites. 1. Asteroids. 2. Falling to Earth. 3. Make it to Earth. Comets. Icy mudballs invisible until they are close to the Sun. Moon. Gives us tides, high tides, 2x closest and furthest. Physical sciences. Chemistry and physics. Freezing point. 0 C or 32 F or 273 K. Boiling point. 100 C to 12 F 373 K. F to C. F equals 9/5 C plus 32. C to F. C equals 5/9. Velocity. Displacement time. Momentum. Mass times velocity. Acceleration. /T. Work. W equals Ft. Power. Power equals work time. Newton's first law. Things at rest tend to stay at rest, while things in motion tend to stay in motion. Newton's second law. Force equals mass acceleration. Newton's third law of motion. For every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Newton's law of gravitational. All objects in the universe attract each other with an equal force that varies directly as the product of the masses and inversely as the square of their distance from each other. Energy. Capacity to do work. Kinetic. Energy possessed by a moving object. Potential. Energy stored in an object as a result of its position, shape, or state. Law of conservation of energy. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. Sound waves. Produced when an object vibrates can travel through anything except a vacuum or empty space disturbing the medium around it. Pitch of sound is directly related to sound wave's frequency. Doppler effect. Hear a frequency different than the actual frequency, source of sound, listener, or both, are moving. Mid-level clouds. Altostratus. Newton. As a unit of force. Chemical elements. Pure substances consisting of one type of element. Electromagnetic spectrum. Radio waves, microwaves, infrared waves, visible light, ultraviolet light, X-rays, gamma rays. Lowest frequency color. Red. Highest frequency color. Purple. Coax. To persuade. Tactile. Relating to the sense of touch. Reconnoiter. See before others.
pH of an acid. Less than 7.
Seven.
pH of a
pH
base.
of a base.
More than 7. pH of water. 7. Lunar eclipse. Earth between the moon and sun. Major portion of the mass of an atom. Neutrons and protons. Table salt is an ionic compound. Most primitive kingdom. Monera. Phylum that includes man. Chordata. Light waves. Can travel through empty space. Which is faster, light waves or sound waves? Light. How can the speed of light be slowed down? Refraction. Refractive index. Ratio by which light is slowed down when traveling through a medium. Law of reflection. The angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection as measured from a line normal to the barrier https of Quizlet.com I9R7 KVDLCF GQR2 Concave. Curved in. Convex. Curled out. Means by which heat energy can be transferred. Conduction, convection, and radiation. Conduction. Direct contact metal are good conductors of heat. Insulators. Poor conductors of heat lead, styrofoam, and plastic. Convection. Transfer heat unevenly in a liquid or a gas. Radiation. Electromagnetic waves transfer heat. Chemistry. Science dealing with composition and properties of substances. Element. Periodic table cannot be further separated by ordinary chemical methods. Atom. Smallest component of an element that still retains properties of the element can mingle with other particles making a compound. Proton. Positive charge in nucleus. Neutron. Neutral charge in the nucleus. Electron. Negative charge in the electron orbit. Molecule. Smallest particle of an element or compound that can exist in the free state consists of one atom or two or more similar atoms. Periods. Rows across the periodic table. Groups. Columns of the periodic table. Shells. Different orbits that electrons occupy around atom https of Quizlet.com IYXC1NCKI0XFR0 and VXC9JCAMJPG. Compounds. Two or more elements together. Ionic compound. Each element borrows an electron from each and stick very closely together. Ion. Electrically charged atom. Covalent compound. Does not ionize when dissolved in water. Alkaline. Basic. What is a food with a lot of iron? Liver. An eclipse of the sun throws the shadow of the blank on the blank. Moon. Earth. Lack of iodine indicates. Goiter. Rocks are frequently split apart by blank. Sudden changes in temperature. Sand is made up of colorless crystals of blank. Quartz. Is vinegar an acid or base? Acid. Isotopes of the element have the same number of blank and blank. Protons and electrons. As heat is applied to boiling water, the temperature remains the same. The best explanation for this is that escaping vapor is taking away the energy. Hemophilia is a blank trait. Sex-linked.
Sex-linked.
Vegetation should be kept on slopes because plant roots hold the soil. What device is used to test the solution in a storage battery? Hydrometer. Fluorides are added to drinking water in order to prevent caries. In the winter, the coldest areas are usually continental interiors. If the mass of an object were doubled, its acceleration due to gravity would be unchanged 9.8. Respiration in plants takes place at all times. When all the colors of the spectrum are mixed, the light is what color? White. A solution that has a high ratio of fluid to solvent is said to be concentrated. Gravity formula. F equals GM1m2 per rankine to the 2. Ligaments. Connect bone to bone. Tendons. Connect muscle to bone.